Sea of Thieves is home to some odd and incredible creatures. From sirens to phantoms and krakens to megalodons, there's life to be found on all corners of the ocean. But here's the deal. We're now approaching 5 years since the release of the megalodon, and I think it's time another monster made its way to the seas. And that's why today I present to you the Leviathan. Before we jump into a full breakdown of ideas, let's talk about why this edition makes sense for Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is all about mystery. There are runes of the past left by ancients and merfolk, curses and magic, as well as a massive beast that roam the waters. Life in Sea of Thieves, past and present, is everywhere. It shapes the world and it makes it feel truly alive. Now here's my reasoning. Not only would another monster increase the immersion of the game, but it would reintroduce the feeling of a real threat that many players have lost after encountering krakens and megalodons on a regular basis. Not to mention, it's technically already in the game, just not fully implemented. With that said, let's get started with a full breakdown of the Leviathan, beginning with its appearance. The Leviathan would be a massive sea serpent or lizard-like creature with a long, sinuous body, covered in a hide of strong scales. Its size would dwarf even galleons, making it bigger than a megalodon. Leviathans are typically docile, but they are highly territorial. So with that in mind, we can determine where a Leviathan might spawn. The Leviathan could be a rare emergent threat, similar to the Kraken and Megalodon. It would only appear in specific areas of the map, such as deep in the open ocean, or more commonly, on the outskirts of islands. Leviathans could even have an extremely rare chance to be spotted sleeping on the beaches of large islands. Simple cannonball would be enough to rustle them from their sleep, but it would offer a good chance for crews to get an early attack in. From that, we can determine how the Leviathan might attack. The Leviathan's attacks would be very powerful and difficult to avoid. Each Leviathan would have a projectile attack that differs based on the region it's located in. Similar in appearance to an orb from the Trident of Dark Tides, this attack could deal damage to ships and players if it connects. A closer range attack could be a tail swipe that deals massive damage to the ship's masts, potentially knocking them down. The Leviathan could have a special attack where it creates a tidal wave that can damage the ship and throw players off. And of course, the Leviathan could use its massive size and weight to ram into ships if the players allow it to get too close. And that just about sums up the attacks. So with those out of the way, let's determine the Leviathan's methods of defense. For defense, the Leviathan could have an ability to create huge waves similar to the tidal wave that toss ships around and make it difficult to aim cannons. The Leviathan could also have healing stages in which it releases a fog of war, masking itself as it travels around your boat and heals. Periods of increased defense could take place throughout a fight, and players can break through this defense by hitting weak spots in their scales with the harpoon, and this allows players to utilize all of the ship's tools. Finally, if you've managed to take down this treacherous foe, the rewards are highly worth the battle. Razor-sharp claws, Leviathan meat, and Leviathan spikes are all potential and highly valuable loot for the hunter's call. In addition, typical event loot would be rewarded, similar to what's earned through the death of a Kraken or Megalodon. So with all the basics out of the way, let's dive into the various types of Leviathan that might inhabit the seas. 4 variants of the Leviathan could exist in the world, one for each of the major regions. Let's begin with everyone's least favorite region, the wilds. This variant has the ability to fire water balls that can drastically increase the amount of water in your ship, increasing the risk of sinking. Its appearance would be dark green and would look the closest to a typical lizard. This creature is cunning and uses the water around it to its advantage. This variant has the ability to fire poison balls that can poison and kill the crew, presenting a major hazard. Its appearance would be purple, representing the poison it spits, and would closely resemble a serpent. This creature is elusive and tries its best to avoid damage. This variant has the ability to fire balls of electricity which can shock and cause massive damage to crew members, greatly reducing their movement. Its hide would be a striking blue, and it would share characteristics to a Chinese dragon. This creature is like the storm and never stays in one place for too long. Finally, this variant is by far the most dangerous, with the ability to hurl flaming stones out of its mouth, similar to that of a volcano, starting fires and causing massive damage to the ship. It has a stone-like complexion and magma coursing through it, looking the most like a horned dragon. This creature is aggressive and chaotic and attacks much more frequently than its counterparts. Altogether, these four patrol their respective territories and unleash hell on those that disrupt them, creating a treacherous dynamic for the many sailors on the Sea of Thieves. All that said, I think that just about sums it up for my proposal for the Leviathan in Sea of Thieves. If you could add any monster to Sea of Thieves, what would it be? I'd love to see your ideas in the comment section. Get as detailed as you'd like. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end if you have, and please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed. It really does help me out a lot. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.